This conference will now be recorded.
In today's session, we're going to discuss about the different types of exceptions. We already seen this syntax error, type error, name error, index error, key error, and value error, attribute error, IO error, and zero division error. Now we today going to see about the import error. Okay, the import error. If you are trying to import any unexisting module, then this the exception will be raised. The exception will be raised when import statement fails to find or load a module. If there is no module, if you're trying to load that module using import statement, definitely it will throw the exception called import error. Okay, I'm going to create one Python file, and then I'm going to mention as import error. See, what are exceptions you are seeing here is all are the built-in exceptions. The built-in exceptions. In every exception, you will see the second word as error. Okay. If you see this error, definitely you can say the exception is called the built-in exceptions. Now we're going to see the import error. First one, what I'm going to do? Trying to import. I'm going to trying to import a module that does not exist. That does not exist. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to import the module that does not available. Okay, import. What I'm going to do instead of pandas, let's pandas 2. Okay, if I try to run this script, it will throw module not found error. This module not found error comes under the import error exception because this module is not available, right? Pandas is available, but pandas 2 is not available. Okay, that's what. If you are trying to use the non-existent module, this module is not available. This is a non-existent module. If you're trying to access a non-existent module that does not exist, it will throw an exception that comes under the import error. And then second thing is, if I'm trying to add the submodule, trying to import, I can say trying to import a submodule that does not exist. That does not exist. Okay, from matplot lib we have like pyplot, Python plot we have. Instead of Python plot, I'm giving pyplot 2. Okay, instead of pyplot, I'm giving pyplot 2. This guy nothing but submodule. This is the main module, and this is going to be submodule. Okay, right. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do, matplot library is the main module, pyplot is the submodule. Instead of pyplot, I'm giving pyplot 2. This submodule is not available. Definitely it's going to throw. It's going to throw. 1 minute. Oh, it's still running. Yeah, it's again throwing the module not found error because submodule is not available. Submodule is not available. Okay. Third one, I'm trying to import a module. I'm trying to import a module from a directory that does not exist. That does not exist. Okay. Now I have one module. I want to import the module from a directory. If you want to import a module from directory, you have to use a module called SYS module. SYS module. Okay. Before going to this, I'll cut and paste in a notepad. Towards I'll paste here. Okay. I want to use a SYS module, system module. From system module, I can have the path. From the path, what I can do, I can able to append. Okay. In the append, wherever you have the module, you have to provide the path. Example, I can show here. Go to C drive, this PC, C drive, go to users, and then go to Dell username and search for Pipwin. Oh, one minute. I'll search for .py. Okay, yeah. You can able to see there are so many modules are available. Mark down IYT. Okay, just what you have to do, you have to copy. One minute. Just go here. Show more options. Go to properties, and then this go into the path. Okay, I can provide a path here. Okay, I can provide a path here, and then what I can do, I can import the module. Import that module. Import the main module. Okay, this is how I can able to. Now, in the directory, that if the module does not exist, in the directory, the module does not exist. Okay, in this directory, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to import some module. Okay, I am trying to do like pandas. Let's see, pandas 3. Okay, in this directory, this pandas 3 is not available. Definitely, it's going 1 minute. Why is throwing unique? Okay, like you have to put R for Unicode escape. It will throw module not found error. The third one is in the directory, if the module is not available, if you are trying to import that module, definitely throw the module not found error. It comes under the import error exception. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to show. Before that, if you want to access any of the modules, you can use the system module. System module, you can put the path over here. From the path, you can able to import. Okay. Now the fourth one is trying to import. I am trying to import a module. Trying to import a module with incorrect name or path. If I am trying to give incorrect name or path, definitely it will throw the import error module. Sorry, it will throw the module not found error, and it comes under the import error exception. Okay, now I'm trying to import instead of numpy, I'm giving numpy as 2 as mp. I can do like this. Instead of numpy, I'm putting nupy. Okay, if I run this script, after it is going to throw the module not found error. It comes under the import error exception. Okay, this is the fourth example I can show for the import error. Okay, these are the various exceptions I shown so far. Okay, for each exception I shown some example syntax error up to import error. Now I going to show what is the difference, what are the advantages and disadvantages of exception. Okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of exceptions? Right. Yeah, advantage disadvantage exception handling. The first advantage is improved program readability. Okay, if you are using the try and except block, you can handle the exception as well as you can prevent your program from crashing or producing incorrect results due to unexpected error or inputs. For example, if you are trying to handle the exception, the remaining part of code will tend to execute. If you are passing some erroneous inputs or some invalid inputs, your program might might will be crashed or producing incorrect results. In order to avoid that, you have to go for the exception handling. The first point is improve program readability. If you have handled the exception, definitely your program will not crash, as well as it will not produce any incorrect results. Okay. Second one is simplified error handling. Okay. For example, you have 1,500 lines of code. In 1,500 lines of code, there will be so many lines of code it will produce exception. Already know. If you handle that code using try and except block, whenever you get some exception, you can able to handle the exception as well as you can able to fix your code very easily. That's what saying this see earlier is 1,500 lines of code you have. In the 1,500 lines of code, so many main functions will be available. In the main functions, what you can do, you can use try and catch block. In that particular block, you can able to handle the exception as well as very easier to read as well as you can maintain your code. Okay, now I will take one notepad. Though you written some piece of codes like here like 1 to 1,000 lines of code written. If you are not using exception handling, you don't know whether where it gets failed, what input you got, you don't know. If you are using try and catch block for every main function, sorry, try and except block for every main function, you can handle that particular block of code as well as that going to avoid crashing of programs as well as producing incorrect results, as well as it's very easy to read and maintain your code. That's called simplified error handling. Third one is we can have the cleaner code. Okay, if you have some complex conditional statements like if condition, if you're using multiple if conditions, if condition and you are using means, okay, at the time you can use exception handler using try and except block. You can handle the exception. Okay, as well as you can make the code more readable, as well as you can make the code very cleaner as well as more readable. Fourth one is easy for debugging. Okay, in particular block of code it gets failed, you can able to easily debug the code, and then you can find fix the bugs in the code, and then you can uh, track the exception where it's occurred and very easier to debug the code. These are the various advantages of exception handling. One is improved program readability. Second one is simplified error handling. Third one is cleaner code. Fourth one is easier debugging. Next one is disadvantages of exception handling. The first disadvantage is performance overhead. If I have 1,500 lines of code, if you are using more try and catch blocks, what will happens? It's going to be the performance overhead, because it want to go to try block, and then it if any exception occurred, the except block should handle. Okay, there will be unnecessary code you have to write. Okay, for example, you have some piece of code. In the piece of code, every time you have to try and catch a block, it's going to be additional statement in a program. Okay, that's going to performance overhead. Every time you have to go to try block, and then it whether it has to catch that exception in the except block. Once we handle the exception, then we have to go to the next line of code. This will going to create a performance overhead. Your interpreter has to perform some additional work to catch and handle the exceptions. Try block has to check for errors. Except block to catch the exception and handle the exception. Second one is increased code readability. Okay, for example, if you are using more try and catch blocks, nested try and catch blocks, your code will be more complex. And then if you're trying to handle multiple exceptions, okay, or you're trying to implement complex handling logics, your code complexity will be increased. Third one is possible security risk. If you are not handling the exception properly, it's going to reveal some sensitive information or going to create some security vulnerabilities in your code. For example, if you're not trying to handle your try and catch block properly, someone can able to take your sensory information. Okay, can able to take sensory information as well as they can create able to create security vulnerabilities in your code. Okay, these are the three major disadvantages in the exception handling. One is performance override. If you're putting so much try catch blocks, the interpreter will, for interpreter will burden. Okay, it has to handle all the try and catch block handle exceptions, and then you want to execute the next line of code. Second one is increased code readability complexity. If you're trying to add more try and catch blocks, the code complexity will be more, as well as if you try to handle all the exceptions, the code complexity will tend to increase. Third one is possible security risk. If you are not handling the exception properly, what will happen? Potentially, you can expose your sensitive information to any third persons or can create security vulnerabilities in your code. These are the disadvantages of exception handling. Now, the next topic we're going to see that is called custom exception. Okay, you might ask, what is custom exception? If you create your own exception for your business logics, that is called custom exception. Custom exception can be created by your own. What are the exceptions you are seeing on the screen is called the built-in exceptions. Python has defined some built-in exceptions. These are the major types of built-in exception. There are so many exceptions available. These are the major ones you can see in the Python: syntax error, type error, name error, index error, key and value error, key error and value error, attribute error, IO error, zero division error, and import error. Now I'm going to say what is custom exceptions. Example, if you are writing your business logics, for a business logics, you have to create your own exception. At the time you can use custom exceptions, or another name is user defined exceptions. The custom exceptions are going to show the syntax. You have to create a class. You can provide any class name. For that particular class name, the parent will be exception. Parent will be exception. Okay. If you are creating any custom exceptions, you can create a class name and then you have to use exception. Exception is a parent for all exception types. For all exception types, who is a parent? For syntax error, who is a parent? Type error, who is a parent? Name error. For all these types, exception. Okay, that's what I mentioned here is exception. Now we're going to create see mostly if you are writing your own business logics. Logic means, for example, I am saying a simple example for you. In the database you have like 100 records. You have in the 100 records, the business logic they're saying to you who is less than 18, they are invalid to vote. They are invalid to vote. For that, you have to use one custom exception. For creating custom exception, definitely you have to create a class, and then class, you can mention the class name valid to vote, and then you can call the parent exception. You can use a pass statement. Why you are using pass statement is it's one of the abstract method. There won't be any implementation. Just use pass over here, and then in the try block, I will say in the try block what you have to do. Okay, see here, same example here is I show here. First class is invalid exception. You can create any class name, and then you have to call the parent exception, and then you can use pass. Now I am passing number equal to 18. First, I'm trying to get the input from my keyboard. Okay, put input, get the input from a keyboard. What are I'm typing right in the keyboard? Okay, get the input and then convert to int, because whatever typing keyboard it will be a string only. Okay, I want to convert int, and then the int number will be, just assume that 17. Assume that 17. If input number 17 less than 18, number is 18. 17 less than 18, it will satisfy or not? Input number is 17 less than number is 18.
Yes.
Satisfied. Now you have to use one more keyword, raise. Raise means explicitly you are throwing the exception. If this condition is met, if your business logic condition is met, you are throwing an exception. The raise is a keyword actually. I going to explicitly throw an exception. What exception I going to throw? Invalid age exception. Automatically what will happen? Your code will break here because you are throwing explicit exception. Okay, directly come to the which line? It will come to the except block. The except block will handle the exception. In the except block you handle the exception. See here, except block you handle the exception. Handling is invalid age exception handled, and then it's going to print the exception occurred. It's an invalid age. Now the user will know you have to, this 17 is invalid age. Then the user will try for 18. For 18, what message will print? For 18, what message it will print?
Eligible to vote.
Eligible to vote. Okay, this is how you, for negative scenarios, you have to raise some custom exceptions. Okay, if any developer has to understand what are the inputs you have passed, that is an invalid input, not only for this age. I'm going to show some different examples of user different exceptions, but what are the negative inputs, what are the invalid inputs you have passed. You should be aware that this is not a valid input for this requirement. Okay, that's why you're using the custom exceptions, or you can say it's a user defined exceptions. Both names are same, custom exceptions or user defined, because I'm the user. I'm only defining the exception, right? For my business logics, I'm defining the exception, that is called user defined exception. Okay, in this scenario, can I use any built-in exceptions? In this scenario, can I use any built-in exceptions? You have to say. What I'm saying it is, here, can I use any built-in exceptions? You can see all these types: syntax error, type error, name error, index error, key error, value error, attribute error, IO error, zero division input error. Can I use built-in exceptions here? Whether it will satisfy this condition? Definitely it won't satisfy this condition, because this is some other types, right? Zero dictionary input and some other types. For your business logic, you have to write your own exceptions.
Custom log.
Custom exceptions, that this exception will not be available in your built-in exceptions. You have to write your own exceptions. That is called user defined exceptions. Okay, now I will, okay, now I will say these things I will say it now. Okay, okay, now you can see I'm customizing my exception. Okay, what I said to you, you can give any class name, salary not in range error. Okay, and then I want to call my exception. For all exception, parent will be exception. I go into constructor, and then instance, and then salary. The constructor I have to pass salary, and then message. Okay, if any exception I got, I'll get this message. Salary is not in 5,000 to 15,000 range. Okay, this is my custom exceptions I am writing for my own business logics. Now I am taking one variable, self.salary equal to salary, self.message equal to this message. This is a default message I am taking. Salary is not in 5,000 15,000 range, and then I'm going to call the super. What is the super? Super used to refer the
Keyword.
I know super keyword. Super keyword is to refer the parent class constructor. For this class, who is the parent? For class salary not in range, who is the parent? Super keyword is to refer the parent class constructor. For this class, who is the parent? Exception is the parent, because you are initiating the properties from the exception class, right? For salary not in range error, the parent will be a exception. Okay, from parent we are using this parent constructor, exception constructor, and then in the exception constructor you are passing the messages. What message are passing? Salary is not in 5,000 15,000 range. You are passing to the parent class constructor. Now leave this part, and then I'm typing in the keyboard input. Input means you have to get the keyboard value. I go into type some salary. I go into type 8,000. Now salary is going to 8,000. whether this condition is satisfied or not. Now my salary value is 8,000. You have to say just pass 8,000
No,
over
it
here.
does not satisfy.
Satisfy what? Why it not satisfy? 5,000 less than 8,000.
If
Okay.
not,
If not 5,000 less than 8,000. Okay. 8,000 less than 15,000. Okay. Yeah, 5,000 less than 8,000. Definitely not condition is there. Definitely it's going to satisfy. 1 minute. Salary is not in 5,000 range, right? Salary is not okay. If I pass 8,000, 5,000 less than 8,000, definitely is going to be 5,000 less than 8,000. It will satisfy, right? First you got to see for the two conditions: 5,000 less than 8,000 satisfy, and then you have to take 8,000 less than 15,000. 8,000 less 15,000 true, but I use not condition, right? Not condition means odd is true, not means false. False means it won't go to the exception block. Okay, it won't raise the any exceptions. Raise nothing but explicitly won't raise any exception because it is false. For example, now salary I'm passing 1,000. What will happen? Salary I'm passing 1,000.
it will
What will happen?
raise zero.
It will raise an explicitly raise an custom exception. Okay, it will print like salary not in range error, and then it's going to what are you going to do? We're going to pass salary going to pass. It will going to call the constructor. It's going to call the constructor, and then it's going to print the message. 1 minute, I'll run this code here. Yeah, I'm going to run this code. I'm going to enter salary amount as 1,000. Sorry, I'm going to enter salary amount as 1,000. Is you enter. What did happen? Salary not in range error. Salary is not in 5,000, 15,000 range. Okay, like this. If you give 8,000, it won't throw any exception explicitly. Okay, it's not throwing any exception. See here. Okay,
Okay.
this is how you have defined your custom exceptions. This thing I'm going to show in your real-time examples now. I will create one directory, new directory, user defined exceptions. User defined exceptions. Okay, just close these things, close it. Okay, and then I'm going to have like okay, user defined exceptions. I'll keep like exceptions underscore 01. Now I'm going to show some real-time logics. This is how you have to implement. Okay, first I'll take employee. For employee, what are the exceptions we have to write? Certify exceptions. First, I'm going to have like employee error from class. Who is the parent? I want to write my user defined exceptions.
Exception.
Exception. Okay, and then here you have to write some. I'm going to have some comments. It's a base class for employee related exceptions. I'm going to define all employee related exceptions. For employee, what exceptions you have to raise? We're going to have one more class. Okay, 1 minute, 1 minute. Yeah, I'm going to use the keyword as pass keyword. Okay, this is the employee error. Okay, I have one class called employee error. In that I have all the parent, and then I'm going to have one more class invalid employee error. Invalid employee ID error, ID code error. Okay, ID error. For every employee will have ID. The ID will have some error. Now I'm going to inherit the relation of parent. Who is the parent for invalid employee error?
Employee error is
Employee error. Okay. It's your As of now, it's a single level inheritance. Okay, single level inheritance. I'm going to have some command like raised when an invalid employee is provided. Employee ID is provided. For every method, you have to write a meaningful message. I'm going to have use pass. It is nothing. Now class, I'm going to make another class. It's going to invalid salary error. Invalid salary error. Now, if who is the parent for invalid salary error? Employee error. Because all these things comes under the employer. This is a base class actually. Employer error. Now, what kind of inheritance it is? A single level or multiple inheritance or multi-level inheritance or hierarchy inheritance. What level of inheritance it is?
Multiple.
Multiple means if I trying to inherit the properties of
It's
multiple, saying
multi-level.
multi-level. Okay, what I'm asking, I'm taking the it's not hierarchical. Hierarchical means this will be hierarchical. Multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance. Yeah, it's come under the multiple inheritance only. Multiple inheritance. Okay, just call the employee error. Copy here. Now I'm going to make it as raised. I'm going to copy the same thing. Copy. Raised when an invalid salary is provided. Invalid salary amount is provided. Okay, just use pass. Invalid experience error. Employee can have invalid experience less than 1 year. Okay, you can say invalid experience. Invalid experience error. Raised when copy and paste. Raised when invalid experience provided. Invalid experience XP. Invalid experience is provided. And then you can use pass promotion denied error. And deny promotion, right? Promotion denied because only few people will get promotion. Not all the employees will get the promotion, right? Comes under the employer error. Raised when employee raised when employee denied promotion. When when an employee denied promotion. Denied promotion can going to use pass. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have one more class called the employee new. I'm going to have one class called exception02. Okay, I'm going to split this window. I'm going to have the classes employee that I'm going to have one constructor. In the constructor, I'm going to pass the employee ID, salary, and experience. Employee ID, salary, and then the experience I'm going to provide. And then I'm going to have some conditions. In the constructor itself, I'm going to have some conditions. If employee ID less than equal to 0. Less than equal to 0. If your employed is -1, -2, -3, then what exception I have to raise? You have to say, if employed is less than 0, what exception I have to raise explicitly?
Raised when an invalid employee ID.
Raise, I want to explicitly use a raise keyword and then invalid invalid employee ID error. Okay, these things won't be available. Just you have to import the package. Okay, invalid import error, and then you have to pass the what one? What you have to pass? Yeah, you can pass a message because 1 minute. Yeah, you can pass a message. Double quotes. I'm going to pass a message as employee ID should be. It's a custom message. Should be greater than 0. In a project, you can able to see this kind of user defined exceptions. Okay, I want to import this package from exception handling dot user defined exceptions dot exceptions 1. You can able to see my structure. See, in this directory have right from exception handling folder, and then under user defined functions under exception 1 I have invalid employee ID class. Okay, this is how you have to import, then only you can able to use this invalid employee ID error. Now what I going to do, in the employee constructor I raise the exception, and then what I going to do, I going to check for salary. Employee is greater than 0, definitely it won't satisfy this condition, and then I go and check for the salary. Salary is less than 0, what kind of exception I have to throw? Salary is less than 0, what
Invalid
exception I have to
salary error.
invalid salary
Raised
error.
with an
Invalid salary sorry, invalid salary error. Okay, this won't be available. Just copy paste and then what import the package for this. Gives a meaningful message. Salary can't be negative. Salary can't be a negative value. Negative value. Just import this package. Okay, you can able to see the comma invalid salary error. Okay. Now I want to check for experience. If experience less than 0, with a fresher, what I have to do? Raise invalid experience error, right? Invalid experience error. This is how you have to raise your custom exceptions or user defined exceptions. Experience can't be a negative value. Experience can't be a negative value. Okay, just import this exception. Yeah, fine. We're good to go now. Okay. No, now though it's a constructor, I want to assign a variable self dot employee ID. It's a variable name, and then argument I want to pass employee ID. Self dot salary equal to salary. Self dot experience equal to experience. Okay. Now I'm going to have one method promotion. I'm going to give some promotion. Method I written as promotion. Instance if experience less than 3. See, if experience is greater than 3, I want to give promotion. Less than 3, I want to deny the promotion. Now If experience less than 3, what exception I have to raise? If experience less than 3, what exception I explicitly have to raise? I'm asking you if promotion in that experience less than 3. Okay, I should not give any promotion. I have to raise some exception. Explicitly, I have to raise my user defined exception. If it is less than 3, I have to use a raise keyword to explicitly throw an exception. Promotion denied error. Promotion denied error. In that you can give some custom message. The employee needs a 3 years of experience to be promoted. If it is less than 3, you should not give any promotion. Okay. Now what I going to do? elif self dot experience greater than or equal to 3. I want to give ASC assistant system engineer. Okay, and then I'm going to write one more elif statement. If greater than or equal to 3, and then self dot experience less than or equal to 4. I want to give assistant system engineer. If self dot experience greater than equal to 5 and self dot experience lesser than equal to 7, I want to provide senior system engineer. Yes, senior system engineer. Okay, and then else block I'm going to print the manager. Okay, this is how I am setting rules. Okay, now how to call this promotion method? How to call this promotion method? I want to call this promotion method. How to call this promotion method? 3 years of experience. Okay, I want to call this promotion method. How to call this promotion method? You have to create your object. You have to create your object. Okay, for that you have to have instance emp equal to employee. In the employee constructor, what value you have to pass? The employee constructor, what value you have to pass? You have to pass the employee ID, salary, and expense. You have to pass. Employee is going to be 123, and then salary is going to be like 7,000, and the expense is going to be 1 year. Okay, now I'm going to use the print state. I'm going to use the emp dot promotion. Now, can you say what is the result for this? If I call promotion, what result I will get? I want to know his designation, whether it's a manager or assistant system engineer or senior system engineer. Run the script. It's throwing employee needed 3 years of experience to be promoted because he is less than 3 years of experience. Because I given the experience is 1 here, is less than 3 years experience. Now I'm going to make it 4 years. He is your assistant system engineer. If I give 14 years of experience, is going to be a manager. if I pass any negative value to my salary, what exception will throw? It will throw salary can't be a negative value. Okay, as well as for employee ID, if you pass any negative value, it will throw employee should be greater than 0. Okay, you should not pass any negative numbers to the employee ID as well as for salary, as well as for experience as well. If you're not passing, if you pass any negative values, definitely it will throw the experience can't be negative value. Okay, now I putting 2 years. It's showing exception like employee needed 3 years of experience to be promoted. I hope you understood. 1 minute, I'll take a pause.
This conference will now be recorded.
Now see here, I am going to pass some negative values to my employee ID. Employee ID. What will happen? My program is stopping abruptly. Okay, if I have 500 lines of code, in 30th line, if I get this exception, definitely the remaining 31 to 500 lines will not execute. I want to handle my exception. You know, this line 37 line of code is going to throw some exception. Okay, what you have to do, you have to use a try block. Okay, whichever code is going to throw an exception, that code you have to put in the try block. Okay, and then if you want to handle that exception, you can use except block. Now, if I call promotion, what exception will throw? If I using negative value from employee ID, what exception will throw? I am passing negative value
Greater than 0.
because it will throw invalid employee ID exception will throw, right? I want to handle that exception. Except block, you want to handle the exception, and then I going to print. Okay, I going to make this thing as e variable name e dot. If I need the message, okay, wait, let me yes, yeah. If I need the message, 1 minute, e dot e dot 1 minute, e dot mess, yeah, e dot with string documents, okay, class dictionary format, okay, invalid error as e, and then you can use a print statement like okay, I want to know the experience, right? emp dot sorry emp dot employee id. Okay, employee id, because I want to know why it's getting failed. I handle the exception as well as I'm printing the employee id. Printing the employee id. Okay, then you can use comma. Now I handle the exception. This is how you can able to handle the exception. Okay, yeah, employee ID must be greater than 0. Now I'm going to write few lines of code here after the except block. Let's see it's printing or not. The code is running successfully. Code is running successfully. Okay, fine. If I run this code, what will happen? 1 minute. Why is this line of code is not executing? I'm handling the invalid employee ID error. Okay, I'm handling the invalid employee ID error. Okay, why my the code is running? Invalid employee ID error. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, 3 years of experience. Okay, yeah. Now the I passed employee 123, all are positive values, and the expense 3. Okay, now I getting the The code is running successfully. Okay, I didn't handle the exception as of now because till now it's not throwing any exception. Now what I going to do? I going to put 2. If I put 2, what will happen? It's going to throw promotion denied error. Okay, I want to handle this exception. Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to handle one more, use one more except block. In the except block, I'm going to handle this promotion denied error, and then the print statement I'm going to the employee expenses less than 3. Okay, now you can check here. You can see I'm putting 2 over here. If it's less than 3, it's going to throw, this method is going to throw the promotion denied error. I handle the exception, and then it's printing employee expenses less than 3, and then it's printing the 40th line of code. Now I can able to handle the exception. This way you can able to handle the exception. If you're not handling the exception, the program will abruptly stop that itself. If you want to execute the remaining lines of code, you have to handle the exception. Now you're going to say, I'm going to give minus 7,000. If I give minus 7,000, whether this line of code will be execute or not. If I give minus 7,000 salary, whether 45th line code will execute or not, it won't execute.
No, it
It
won't.
won't execute, yeah, because you want to handle the
Exception.
invalid salary error. It's a user defined exception. You have to use one more except block. In the except block, I want to handle the invalid salary error. Salary value should be greater than 0. Salary should be greater than 0. Okay, now we can able to, yeah, why it's salary can't be negative value. 1 minute, salary can't be, I invite salary I had handled. Okay, why it's salary, okay, 1 minute, handle the exception invite salary error. Okay, 1 minute, I'll cut and paste here. After salary when it's coming, right? Invalid salary error. Handling this exception invalid salary error. Why it's throwing like this? Invalid salary error. Okay, yeah, it's throwing exception. Okay, handle the exception. Okay, I'm handling the exception. Handling the exception. 1 minute. Salary can't be negative value. It's explicit throwing exception. Salary can't be negative value. Okay, I'm handling the exception here. Okay, why it's not throwing this? Okay, wait. Instead of this salary, invalid salary error.
This conference will now be recorded.
See, now what will happen? I'm giving salary as minus 7,000. Okay, if I run the script, what's happening? It's throwing invalid salary error because whenever creating an object, this is going to call your constructor. In the constructor, you can see if salary is less than 0, explicitly are throwing a exception called invalid salary error. What you have to do, you have to put the statement inside the try block, because this, while creating an object itself, it's throwing an exception. While creating an object itself, this called a constructor. In the constructor, you are explicitly throwing the exception. Salary is less than 0. Okay, that's what you want to put this line of code inside this try block. Just put inside the try block. Now if you run the script, what will happen? While getting object, it's going to call the constructor. In the constructor, you explicitly throwing exception. That exception will be catched by the invalid salary error, and then this line of code will be printed. After that, the rest lines of code is running successfully printed. You can able to see salary should be greater than 0, and then the code is running successfully. Okay, this is a mistake I did. Whichever code is going to throw an exception, you have to put in try block, and then you want to handle all the exceptions. And then if you don't know the exception name, what kind of exception is going to throw at runtime, you can give the parent exception. Okay, now I'm going to use else block. Else block means what is a else block? In try block, there is no errors, there is no exception. Definitely your else block will work. Okay, make a note. In try block, there is no exception. Definitely your else block will work. In try block, if you have exception, else block will not work. The except block will handle the exception. Okay, now I'm going to print have a statement like the print statement. I'm going to print else block is working, running. Else block is running. If I want to run without any errors, I want to give some valid inputs 123 7003. Okay, now my else block will be executed. You can able to see else block is running successfully. If I give some wrong values, invalid inputs minus 7000, what will happen? Your else block will not be executed. I hope you understood. If you are giving some valid inputs, if there is no exception in the try block, definitely else block will be executed. If there is any exception in the try block, I giving 2 here, but the exception should be equal to 3 greater than 3. Then only can able to give a promotion, right? Yeah, I given 2 here, that's why else block is not working. If I give 5, definitely my else block will work, because in the try block there is no exception. That's why else block is working. Last thing I'm going to show here is, what's the last block? Finally.
Finally.
Finally. When the finally work? Sorry, finally. In the try block, if you have any exception, the finally block won't look out whether the catch block is handle the exception or not. It will execute. In try block, if you have exception, the finally block won't think whether the exception handle or not. This finally block will execute. Okay, now I'm going to have a print statement, and then I'm going to use final block is executed. Final block is executed. If I want to execute a final block, what do I do? I want to make some exceptions, right? I'm going to give minus 123. Just run the script. What happened? One minute. I made some other so I made some mistakes here. I passed minus 123. Okay. Minus 123. Minus 123. Yeah, minus 123. Why it's giving something like this? Yeah, it's running fine. And then it's printing the else block, and then final block, and the code is successfully coming, because try block is not having any exception. Try block is not having any exception. That's why else block is printing, and then finally block won't think about whether you handle exception or not. Okay, it's one of the default thing it will execute it. find block won't think about whether the exception handled or not. If there is no exception also it will run. If there is exception also it will run. Not exception and no exception also it will try to run. Okay. Finally block only for the cleanup activities. If you are closing some connections, DB connections, as well as if you want to close a file, you want to close a file, then you can use a finally block. Is for the cleaning up the connections. Okay, closing the connections you can say. Now finally block is executed. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make some invalid inputs minus 7,000. Now you can see sal should get in 0. We handle the exception. Else block won't execute because we're getting some exception right. And then finally block is executed as well as the rest of code is executed. The code is running successfully. Okay, this is the difference between final block, finally block only for cleanup activities, for closing the connections, DB connections, as well as for closing the files. You can use this final block. Yeah, finally block won't think about whether you handle the exception or not. Definitely it will going to run. Okay, in try block, if you have exception, definitely it won't think whether catch handled or not. It will execute the final block. In case, second case, in try block there is no exception. Okay, what will happen? This final block will execute. Now I'm going to have last example. Okay, I'm going to have the last example. The example is going to be exception underscore 3. Exception underscore 03. I'm going to have a class called car. What are the errors I'll get? Okay, these called the I can say the user defined exceptions. I'm going to car error. The parent will be exception, and then it's a base class for it's a base class for car related exceptions. What are the exceptions we face in the car? Out of fuel error, out of fuel error, to make it was caps, out of fuel error, and then you can use the parent classes car error, and then I'm going to make one meaningful message raised when the car runs out of fuel, raised when the car runs out of fuel. Engine overheating error. Next class I'm going to make it as engine overheating error. Okay, and then I'm going to use parent classes car error. Okay, I'm going to use a message, copy, and then paste, and then you can mention like pass. Here also you can mention pass, and then here you can mention pass, and then yeah, engine overheating error, and then tire blowout. Okay, I'm going to mention one more class called tire blowout. Tire blowout error. The parent type we're going to use car error, and then raised copy, raised when the car experiences a tire blow, raised when the car experiences tire blowout, tire blowout. Okay, and then you can use one pass, and then one more class I'm going to mention, battery dead condition. Battery dead condition, battery dead error. It's going to be a car error. Raised when car battery state. When car battery is dead, and then you can use pass. Okay, see, these are the car errors. Okay, out of fuel error, engine overheating error, tire blowout error, and battery dead error. Now I'm going to create one more class, exception 04. Exception 04. In that I'm going to mention the before that I want to split this window. Class I'm going to mention as car. Then I'm going to have one constructor. I'm going to have one constructor. In that constructor I'm going to pass the fuel level as the argument, and then I'm going to assign a variable fuel equal to fuel, and then I'm going to have some methods drive. Then I'm going to have distance. I'm going to check the distance. If distance greater than fuel level, I'm going to raise one exception. What exception I can raise? Out of fuel error, right? Out of fuel error. Just copy and then paste here, and then you can able to import this package. Not enough fuel to drive a car. I can mention like not enough fuel to drive your car. Okay, and then you can use colon here. Okay, not enough fuel to drive your car. Now, what I'm going to do, just I'm going to create one object for this class. Just going to create the object for this class, make it end, and then you enter. Okay, like vehicle is instance name equal to car is going to be the class. We are going to create object. It's going to call the constructor. It's going to call the constructor. Fuel going to pass like 30. Okay. Now I'm going to use print statement. In the print statement, I'm going to use instance dot vehicle dot drive. In the drive pass some distance as 300 kilometers. Definitely, it's going to throw exception out of fuel error, not enough fuel to drive a car. If you want to handle this exception, what you have to do? You have to use try and except block. Try and except block you have to use. In the except block, you have to handle the exception. What exception it is? Out of fuel error. You want to handle this out of fuel error, and then can't able to drive the car. Can't able to drive the car. It's out of fuel. Out of fuel. Okay. This is how you can raise the custom exceptions, and then you can print the message in the exceptions. Okay, these are things you can do. And and then you can pass some custom messages. If I run the script, it's printing like can't able to drive the car, it's out of fuel. Okay, this is a way you can handle the exception for running the remaining lines of code. If I have like 100 lines of code I have, okay, car status, fuel status. If I want to run line number 21, 20 to 23, okay, if I want to run the 21, 20 to 23, fuel price, car fuel price, sorry, fuel price, engine oil price, engine oil price. If I want to run this 20 and 20 20 lines of code, definitely I want to handle the exception. If you are not handling the exception, the remaining line of code will not be executed. Okay, you can able to see the rest of lines of code is executed because we handle the exception. I'm going to sign off session right now. We have two more examples. We'll see on Monday.